Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 3rd May 2016. The first article is related to the climate change and Paris Agreement. Now, any article by Shyam Saran, it has always very, knowledgeable and has got good content. Now, this article, it tries to explain what are the critical challenges India has to face with regard to the Paris Agreement. What are the differences between the developed countries and developing countries in general? Now, in this context, let us start the discussion. Now, 175 countries recently assembled at New York to sign the Paris Agreement. Now, once this agreement is signed, the 55% of the countries, 55 countries are countries emitting at least 55% of the greenhouse gases. Both these things need to be fulfilled to get the Paris Agreement into force. Again, remember, 55 countries and 55% of GHG emissions, whatever the countries are making, these have to agree for this. It means that they have to ratify this agreement to come into force. So this ratification in United States of America has to be done by the Congress, and in the case of India, it has to be done by the cabinet. So USA, though signed the Kyoto Protocol, Congress did not ratify that. There are many incidents like this. The CTBT, though it was signed by US, it was not ratified by the Congress yet. So in this case, to what extent the Congress will take forward the Paris Agreement, we need to wait and watch. So let us see the conflicts in the Paris Agreement between the developing and developed countries. The first one is related to transparency. So the nationally determined contributions, how they will be monitored. So in this case, the developed countries, they want to have a unified system, a common unified system where one country can be compared against the other country. So in this context, developing countries, they want to have the flexibility to accommodate their common but differentiated responsibilities. It means they have certain flexibility with regard to the common but differentiated responsibilities. So this monitoring structure also has to reflect the flexibilities which are available for them. And for every 5 years, there is a stock taking situation. It means to what extent we have progressed on the promises we made. So there is a stock taking situation. So in this context, the technology transfer is the responsibility of the developed countries. Developed countries want to keep it as dark as possible. It means that there are no definite measurable targets are being created for the technology transfers so that it remains as indeterminate and unquestionable. And coming to the facilitation dialogue, it is going to happen in 2018. So the Paris Agreement has made this target of 1.5 degrees Celsius, so which is proposed by small island nations. In this context, what is the progress towards the direction we are making? So do we need to change the course anyhow? These are the questions we try to see at the facilitation dialogue. And coming to finance, you know that in 2009, Copenhagen Accord, it has promised $100 billion every year for the developing countries for their climate change actions. But to what extent, how this money will be provided, till date there is no clarity. So this $100 billion is going to be an official fund, or it is going to be the contributions through different ways, especially the private sector funds, and which are, there is with no clear calculations, etc. Now coming to the historical responsibility, it was buried in the Paris Agreement. The historical responsibility, it means for the existing accumulated greenhouse gases, where the major contributions are from the developed countries, so countries have to take the responsibility for that. It is called historical responsibility. Under the Paris Agreement, So developed countries did not agree for this historical responsibility. Only the emissions as on today, they are being taken into consideration. Now this is where the major problem to India lies. If you carefully observe, our developmental needs need more energy, and most of this energy is going to come from the coal itself. It means India did not get away from its coal dependence. So India is at 2, let us think this way. Now China is at 10. So China is emitting 10 units. India is emitting 2 units. So India is going to raise it to 4. China is going to reduce it to 8. So in this case, China is taken in a positive light because China is reducing its emissions. But initial base is very high. But India appears as increasing its emissions. So the international pressure on India is bound to increase to decrease this particular emissions. And coming to the technology transfer, there is intellectual properties. Now already the multinational corporations of United States of America, they were opposing the easing of IPR norms as per the climate change agreement. So it means the technology transfers are not going to easy to come to facilitate the efficiency in energy production and utilization. So among these complexities, India shall take a cautious note, shall wait till the Congress passes or ratifies the Paris Agreement. Then India can make a ratification by itself. So it has to wait and watch so that principle of equity will be taken care of by the developed countries. Now coming to the reservation issue. Now recently Gujarat has provided for the reservations. So the criteria was for the economically backward classes, 10% of extra reservation will be provided over and above the existing 49% of the reservations. So these reservations will be applicable only to the people whose family income is less than 6 lakh rupees. So the first data which is critical for this is the income data. But if you see the income tax data, the less than 4% have filed for the income tax returns. Over the 2% of the population has actually paid the income tax in India. So the tax data is not appropriate. So identifying the poor people is itself very difficult exercise due to inclusion and exclusion errors. Now, and the second thing is, in India the reservations have become once an entry, it's a permanent basis. It means once you come into a reserved category and you enjoy the benefits of the reservations across the generations. But the reservation category has to be a dynamic criteria. It means that as the incomes of the people are increasing, these people shall move out of the reservation net and the new people shall be added. For that also income criteria and also reliable data on the caste census is very much necessary. So with regard to the reservations, we use the caste census which are generated in 1931. So India has to take up the caste census immediately, if possible in 2021 census itself, to make this criteria more rational. Now in the Indian Express, he has touched this Gujarat reservations from a different dimension altogether. Now, the 49% is the existing reservation. If 10% is added, it is 50%. 59%, it means that it is crossing the stipulated 50% in Indira Sahani case. So, the chances that it will stand to the judicial scrutiny is very less. And in the Nagaraj versus Union of India case, the Supreme Court has made it very clear that the backwardness, underrepresentation, non-compromise of the merit, all these factors need to be taken into consideration while providing for the reservations. So what is the major cause for these agitations which is going on in Gujarat? It is very much our developmental model itself. The Gujarat has highest growth. So where this growth has come from? From the capital intensive large industries. So the SME sector was slowly replaced by the large capital intensive industry, and the private sector jobs and earnings on this have drastically reduced over a period of time. So in this case, the Patels are the people who held the major SMEs. So SME is employee intensive. So I mean, this move from SMSE to the capital intensive industry itself has reduced the self-employment opportunities among the small and medium enterprises. The Gujarat, 1/5 of the total units exist in the Gujarat. So in this case, raising the job opportunities, improving the employability conditions, these are the need of the hour. The coming to turn the corner, it is about the corruption in CBI. Now understand, the CBI is the pivotal institution to fight the corruption, and if very CBI has the corruption charges, officers have the corruption charges against them, then automatically it is going to kill the reputation of the institution. So here, already the CBI has a reputation of being a caged parrot. The corruption charges will further worsen its status and its legitimacy as an investigative agency. Now coming to cracks at the level of the state. This article expresses the growing regional imbalances and agricultural distress with farmer suicides on the rural Maharashtra, which is going to provide for a sense of alienation for the people from the state and its apparatus, which the author describes as the breaking down of the social contract in Maharashtra. Now coming to the Sham Benegal Committee's recommendations. So you know that on the Central Board of Film Certification, the Sham Benegal Committee was appointed and it has given its interim report. So according to this report, it has recommended that the CBFC's responsibility has to be only certification and not censoring. So U by A are different categories. Some 5 categories are given by the Sham Benegal Committee. It also said that the censor board, it shall be just an administrative body, a supervisory body, and it shall not interfere with the day-to-day functioning, which has to be made automatic. And the movie certification, so it means to release it into theaters, there will be once a certification will happen, and to release it into the TV or to make it viewable onto the TV, another certification will happen. So added to that, there is one more glitch over here. These are the positive steps. There is no doubt for artistic freedoms. The glitch is this: the India Cinematography Act, under this section 5B subclause 1, according to this, a competent authority can take an action on a particular movie in the interests of the national integrity, security of the state, and morality, decency, and to stop incitement to an offense, etc. Here, if you see the words morality, decency, these are not defined, and they may carry different value judgments and broad meanings. So this ultimately leads to the violation, or it ultimately leads to the vagueness of functioning. So in this case, it provides unnecessary discretion to the authority. If you observe, after the Vishwarupa movie, Mudgal committee was appointed, which has recommended for the very amendment of the India Cinematography Act and reducing the role of the state with regard to the censoring of various movies or non-permitting of various movies. So it is the time the act itself has to be changed to provide for a sense of artistic freedom. Now coming to the arms deals. You know that the corruption is very much prevalent in the arms deals from Krishna Menon days to present day. So the arms deals involve one or the other element of corruption and middlemen. So certain steps were taken by the government. So one is the integrity clause was introduced by the UPA government. So it means that if any of the company which is supplying the defense equipment to India, if it is involved with corruption, at any point of time that particular order can be stopped. So it means that the corruption, to discourage the corruption, this integrity clause has been kept. The Augusta Westland contract was cancelled based on this integrity clause. So the author says the best solution is India has to be a net exporter of the arms, and it has to develop its military industrial complex. That is the only solution forward to fight this corruption. And it is very difficult to convict the perpetrators of the corruption in defense deals. The major reason is these are too complex, involving the tax havens, offshore companies, and duplicate directors, etc. Now coming to tinderbox in the Himalayas. So it is just about the recent fire in Himalayas. So Himalayan forests. What is the most common cause? So here the Indian Express has covered it better. So there is in forest fire disaster management, a report by the National Disaster Management Authority clearly says that more than half of the forests in India are susceptible for fire. And Forest Survey of India's Status of Forest report, it says that more than 95% of the forest fires are man-made. So especially in Himalayas, there is these leaves, the chir leaves, they burn it on the ground, and this automatically leads to the catching of the fire in the forest. So the people burn it for the quick growth of the grass, and also to avoid the slippery nature in the forest. So the people education plays a key role in addressing these forest fires, and also modern management techniques such as forest fire lines, counter fire, all these measures need to be adopted in the management of the Indian forests. Now coming to the news section, Italian Marines are going home. Now let us see what is this case is about. So these two Italian Marines, Mr. Salvatore Girone and Latore, these people, these have fired on the Kerala fishermen from their ship Enrica Alexi. So what the Italians argue is, they thought that fishermen's boat is for coming for they are pirates, and at that point of time they are in the international waters. What Indian authorities say is the fishing boat on which the crime is committed, it is in the Indian waters, and also the Italian boat is in the Indian waters. So in this context, these people are arrested, presented before the Cochin court, the High Court of Kerala, and then it has become a big international issue. Even it is one of the issue which is lagging behind India-European Union free trade talks. So in this case, the Italy took the matter to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in Hague, and this court has said that the Italians shall be allowed to leave India. So, I mean, if not, that may be a violation of their freedom. And one way, the Permanent Court of Arbitration also, made the Italian authorities to make these marines available if necessary before Indian Supreme Court. In that way, Indian Supreme Court's respect is also protected. Now we know that the US pivot to Asia, where most of the Pacific Fleet in India of US will be stationed in Asian region. To counterbalance the power in Asia, rebalance the power in Asia, is getting countered by the China's the security governance with Asian features. Recently, a summit has happened in China, that is the conference on interaction and confidence building measures in Asia. So in this, Xi Jinping has stated that so we need to have a security architecture based on the Asian values. This has led to the idea of security governance with the Chinese leadership. Now in this case, already the China's aggressiveness, it is posing many challenges to it from the regional partners. So to what extent China can lead this rebalance is a major question. So however, the literature on this particular topic will be evolving, and what exactly this doctrine is, once in IDZ, SCA, etc. it comes up, we can talk about on this article. Now coming to core sectors. Now prelims wise this question is very important. What is index of industrial production? Purchase managers index? What is the core, what are the core industries? What is the weightage for the core industries in the index of industrial production? All these things. What is base effect? All these things you need to learn for the prelims. Now there is a 6.4% of the growth in the core industries. Now, but on the other hand, purchasing managers index showed a decline. So many people attribute this particular growth to the base effect, because in 2015 March there is a negative growth in the core sectors. On that basis of 2015 March, we are calculating today's growth. That's why it appeared enormously positive. That's what is the interpretation given by the experts. Now coming to the Indian Express, the banking on Bharat. Now, most of the times the banks have seen credit in the rural India as a social obligation. So in this context, the banking sector has to see the resurgence of Bharat as an opportunity to make the banking sector penetrate there. So there is a consumer behavior growing, wealth is getting created on the rural side, and added to that, the habit of savings and other utility of the banks is also increasing. But even today, the money lender is the major source of finance to them. So if the banks see the opportunity with the customary models, appropriate products with financial literacy to these people, then that can bring a substantial change on the rural front, and it will be a win-win situation for both for the banks and also for the rural households. Coming to the Delhi and Donald Trump by C. Raja Mohan. So India has very good relationship with Obama's, Clinton's, and George Bush too. But once the Donald Trump comes up over here, if any remote chance is there, if he becomes the president, then to what extent, I mean, we shall expect a discontinuity in the American foreign policy towards India. So in this context, India has to prepare for this particular challenge which is going to happen very soon. Now coming to non-land assets, what this article says is, in India, as of now, the banks provides the loans on the security of the fixed assets. Now if you observe the China, Ghana and all these countries has made a doctrine to take the non-land assets as collateral to provide the loans to the small medium enterprises. Now coming to the bankruptcy code. So if you take the present situation of Vijay Mallya, so the bankruptcy code of not much use even if it would have been existing. So the bankruptcy code in India, it has no extraterritorial application. So in this context, the bankruptcy code also shall have two other provisions, that is to coordinate with other countries for information sharing and also to facilitate the information exchange. These are the various things which it was talking about. Now let's revise this. Environment in India and climate change. So with regard to the transparency, stock taking situation, facilitation agreements, everything, there is a difference between developed and developing countries. So India need to be careful before it ratifies the climate change agreement. Now, the corruption is majorly due to the complexity of the arms deals, the integrity pact or clause. You can take it as a note for your corruption class. And right to equality and reservations. The reservations are due to decrease in the SME enterprises, especially their sickness. So revival of that can be critical. And also the proper tax data and the caste census data is critical for rationalizing the Indian reservation policy. With regard to the Sham-Benegal Committee, another clause is the Cinematography Act has many provisions which can still provide for the discretion to the functioning authority which need to be considered. Now coming to core sector output, it might have increased due to base effect, and international marines can go to Italy now based on the judgment of Permanent Court of Arbitration. And with regard to the Beijing doctrine, so Beijing has developed a counter doctrine to the US pivot, which is being described as a security governance model with Asian feature. And coming to the corruption, the CBI is often described as a caged parrot, but the corruption cases against the anti-corruption body, it's going to question its very legitimacy. And coming to Indian Express, the banking sector shall spread to rural India, which will create a win-win situation. And bankruptcy code, international arguments has to facilitate the bankruptcy code. So these are the things we need to talk about. Thank you very much.